Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to your Q&A. Sort of ahead of Gameweek 30. Obviously, another week to go. Sam is trapped in New York or something. She was supposed to be here, but we've got a very good deputy. My first ever stream with Scott. How you doing, Scott?
I'm good, as. How are you?
I am
Very good.
very well.
I
Very
can't
well.
promise to be Sam, but I can do my best. So there we are.
No one can fully replace Sam, but I'm sure you will do a perfectly good job. Yeah, I'm all right. I'm a little bit hungover. We had a work night out last night. I'm feeling it a little bit. I'm glad that it's not a deadline this weekend because my wild card is active. And if I was having to make last minute panic decisions off the back of my night last night, we might be in a bit of trouble. How's your team looking? We're going to be doing some team ratings today. We've got some from Twitter. If you're interested in having your team rated, drop me a screenshot of it as fplblackbox.com, I think it is, and we can get some of those on the screen live. We will be answering questions in the chat as well. I've got Scott's team as well. How are you feeling? You feeling good about the next few weeks?
Not massively, truthfully, but
good.
We can
good,
sort of
positive.
work our way through it. I think what it is I'm sort of waiting to get a wild card going. I know you've already triggered it, but I'm sort of like, I can't go just yet, but I want to go now and I can't go. And I'm looking at wild cards thinking maybe do go, but I don't know.
You're tempted then? You might.
Well, I am slightly. I was talking to Ian actually a few days ago about potentially doing it, but then we both came to consensus. I mean, the fact that he was saying you definitely need to do it suggests to me that I definitely shouldn't do it. But yeah, I don't think I will. But looking at some of the teams, you can't not be jealous at times of some of the players that they've got that I just do not have. And the fact I've got Trent, no Newcastle, no Palace, it's not exactly the world's greatest team in the world, but we work with it.
Yeah, my team, sometimes you just look at your team and you just think, I could probably make it a couple more weeks, but I'd have a lot more fun if I just wildcarded now and, like you say, targeted I had no Palace players, Trent, Hall, Dango, Pickford's still in goal. He's been absolutely awful since I brought him in, on whatever it was, when we all played assistant manager chips. The team just needed an overhaul. So
have we got the same team as? I feel I've got Trent, I've got Dango, I've got Pickford, I've got Mikolenko as well.
Let's have a look. Let's have a look at your team.
Each other.
We'll come on to mine in a minute. This is your team. So you've got Pickford, Gabriel, Konate, Mikolenko. Double Everton defence is fun. Mbumo, Cliver, Munetsi, Salah, Wood, Visser and Haaland. And then Fabianski, Trent, Robinson and Dango. We do have a lot of the same crappy players in the sense of, I've still got Trent, Robinson, Dango. I've got all three of those. I've got Visser. He wouldn't be staying. I haven't got the double Everton defence. I haven't got Konate. Yeah, they're fairly different. I mean, other than double Everton in the back, you don't look too bad.
No, that's what I mean. It's like you sort of look how many fires you've got to put out, don't you, when you're doing your wild card, or look what you sort of there to gain. And mine isn't, as I said, it's not absolutely horrendous. I think what's slightly disappointing is the Trent injuries killed me, because if I didn't have to deal with that, I'd be in such a better place. But now that's sort of like my main fire. Yeah, it's sort of that I've only got one transfer left as well, because I've obviously burnt them all trying to get to a team for 29. So yeah, I'm not where I want to be, truthfully. But I think, as I said, the wild card will be 31 or 32.
Yeah,
I think I can sort of manage with where I'm at. I've got a few with covering. I think my main issue is I really want Palace players like Muni, and stuff like that without them could kill me. So it's sort of gonna be a thing where I'm just gonna be looking behind the sofa, I think, while they're on, hoping that I don't get killed too much. So and
I'll be opposite end of that. I'll be hoping they absolutely murder you, because I'm gonna have
that's
three.
What I think. We're doing a data video looking at it. He's so good. He's so attacking. I remember watching the Man United game away from home when Palace won 2-0. And sort of in the 85th minute, you think Palace are holding on for a sort of a 1-0 win away at Man United, and he's flying for him like, what is this? What is this right back there? This is not a right back. I know, obviously he plays right wing back, but still, I mean, come on, surely at that point in the game, especially at the game state, that you'd be sat back. But that is not the way he plays, is it? And that's obviously not the way Glasner wants him to play. But it does make him an unbelievable FPL asset as well. So yeah, I imagine I am going to get killed. And even when he doesn't play, he's horrendously scary not to own, because if you watch any of Palace games, which I'm sure you have, he's there or thereabouts in every game anyway, even if he doesn't return. He's going to be lucky if I get through it, really is, especially with Southampton coming up.
Yeah, people are he's got a couple of games, hasn't he, before the match, and on is it the Tuesday or the Wednesday? Obviously, he's got to get through the international games, and he's got the cup game as well. But he doesn't strike me as a player who needs rest because he just seems to go, like you say, 89th minute, he's in the penalty area, like going absolute like gung ho to get a goal. He's not a player that Glasner wants to bench. I think he's so integral to where they want to play. So I'm not really too worried about that. I mean, you could sort this team out with one transfer though, couldn't you? You could do Trent or Mikalenko to Munoz, I'm guessing, and you look fairly strong.
Yeah, no, that is the play. But my main, and that's probably what I'll end up doing. But the part of play that I want, I'm now not going to be able to get is Isak. Like Brentford at home, they've just come off that cup final. They're going to be bang up for it. Let's be honest. The crowd are going to be fantastic, and I thought in that game as well. Sort of the first game back, and obviously a lot of fans that will be in at the ground that day will not have obviously been to the cup final. So I think they'll see that as a bit of a celebration in itself. So that could be a route. But although Brentford's away record recently has been really, really good, and it's hopefully. It'll be a case of Mbeumo and Visser spoiling the party as opposed to Newcastle running riot, because that again would massively help my week.
It's funny because you're the way you're talking about all the things that I would want if I'd kept my old team, but I'm going to be moving completely the opposite way to you. I mean, this is the caveat here is it is really, really hard to build a wildcard team, right? At the moment, we don't know the results of the cups. It's really difficult. I mean, this is what I put together on Plan FPL. So this is sort of making some educated guesses about who we think is going to go through. It's Raya in goal, Kirkes, Timber, and Munoz. Salah, Savinho, Eze, Rodgers, Isak, Haaland, and Mateta. So this is assuming that Palace beat Fulham. I think that's a tight game, but they beat them 2-0. A few weeks ago, so I'm backing them again. That means double game week for Arsenal as well at some point, because obviously they won't have the game in 34, hence the double Arsenal defence. I think City probably beat Bournemouth, although that's close as well. If City don't win that game, I don't think I'm going to go for Haaland. I still think 14-ish million for a player without a double game week would be quite pricey. You've obviously got him. Would you keep on a wild card if they didn't get the double?
I don't know. I think that'd be a bit of a toss-up. It depends when you're going to use him as captaincy, doesn't it? But I always think with Haaland, like when you take him out of your team, I know it sounds obvious, but you almost forget how much price it actually takes up. Yeah. Like, it's absolutely ridiculous. Like, I remember when I took him out originally, because I started with Haaland, obviously, thank God, because he went on a really good run at the start. And it was nearly a hat-trick every week at one point. But I remember when I eventually did take him out, which was quite late. And as I said, it sort of completely changed my whole team. So yeah, I do agree. If you're not going to captain him, especially, and if you don't have the sort of doubles that we expect, and Bournemouth do win that game, I'd probably be like you. I'd probably get rid of him. Truthfully, it's probably where I'd be with it. And to be honest, probably already beat them, haven't they? Already sort of their ground this season. So would it be that surprised if Bournemouth won again with the way Man City are playing? I wouldn't be that surprised.
No, I think Bournemouth are on a little bit of a downward trajectory at the moment. They've had a couple of fairly poor results. I think they're a good team. I think it's a close game. It's a close game to call that one. I mean, if Bournemouth do get through, then it's going to be a double game week for Manchester United, and that means Fernandes. Obviously, he was my hero last week. He's the only reason I'm on a green arrow with his massive haul as my captain. But he's not obviously in this wildcard team that I've got. But if there's going to be a double game week for Manchester United in, we think, 33, I'm probably going to want him. And it's hard to build a team with Salah, Isak, Haaland, and Fernandes without having to make massive compromises elsewhere.
Yeah, no, exactly. Because I think you do want a bench as well at this point. I presume have you still got your bench boost left as well?
I have. I haven't wasted it like I did last year.
Yeah.
It is still there.
You'll need a bench then at some point as well. So there's really no way you could rock all them players, and I don't think, unless you literally just go and bargain basement for the rest of it. But
I mean, this is pretty much this is pretty much as cheap as it gets in terms of defence on the bench. I mean, with Areola, Murphy, Williams, and Anderson. I mean, that they all play, which is good. So you can actually build a bench. I mean, when you think about the bench boost, you think about all the potential of it. You always end up with these kind of players, don't you? Like the 5 million midfielders and the 4-5 defenders and stuff. And you're lucky if you get 20 points off it. But it feels like we base so many decisions around trying to maximise the bench boost chip when. I don't. Have you had much success with it?
Like the bench boost, I don't think I've ever gained that many points. Now that might be really terrible at playing it. Potentially, some people who are better at the game maybe sort of benefit more from me. But I do think as a sort of blanket statement, it isn't something that you sort of. like, all right, it's a beneficial chip, and I get that, but it isn't a powerhouse chip at all, is it? Like the likes of even that assistant manager chip this year is so much more powerful than a bench boost ever will for you. But I think you're hoping. I think a lot of the time with a bench boost, you're just hoping that one player you're going to get a decent return from, and then you might pick up a few appearance points in a double or something.
I mean, no one's gonna beat Simicast for me last year on my accidental bench boost getting the 17 points. I mean, I remember I had Delafeo years ago. I think he was at Watford? I think it's before he went to Everton. He's at Watford. I think he got 2 goals in one of the 2 games. So you're right. I mean, it's the same with like someone like Murphy. Like if he, although are you going to be bench? Is that a real bench boost if you bench Murphy? I guess it's not because you probably put him in the starting 11. Yeah, there's not a big double game week that we think is going to happen. Like, not enough to have probably 15 double game week players like we have had in previous seasons. So
I think sometimes the bench boost as well. Like I think people sometimes conscious to play because they obviously want to play in a double. But I think sometimes if you've got a really good bench one week and you've got like 3 players and you've got a real bench headache, just play the bench boost. Do you know what I mean? Like early in the season, like the amount of times I felt like I had a decent bench, at least where I had 2 players that I thought, well, they should really be the start 11. I don't know which way to go with it, and I didn't play it, and they obviously did really well, and I just conceded points from a bench. I think weeks like that, maybe something I'll probably learn from this year. We should probably learn every year, but just never listen to myself. But,
we say it every year.
That is what it is,
and then don't do it.
The amount of people that say that. I think I was talking to Chris the other day, and he was saying exactly the same thing. Like, I've got a benching decision here. We'll just play your bench boost then. Sometimes stuff like that, being so basic, is actually sort of the way forward. And overthinking it can kill you, and it has done a lot of times this season for me, really. But,
I mean, James from Planet FPL used it game week 1.
Yeah, but I don't think that's horrendous. I think that's quite a good strategy, actually.
No, and I think we're getting. He used it because he said there are going to be fewer double game weeks towards the end of the season. It's not going to be the same. Like I said, with 15 players doubling. So he used it early, got a decent return from it as well. And now it's got to the end of the season, and we're all like, oh, okay, we're filling our benches up with like Areolas and Andersons, and I don't know. It's not. It's.
One of those chips. It's a wild card, isn't it? Like, and it's not, but it is in terms of like you could you've technically got 3 wild cards in the season. Obviously, the team originally, then obviously 2 you get. So I think at one point, obviously, you want to sort of follow a wild card onto a bench boost, don't you? So I actually think that's a really nice strategy. In fact, I might even next year if the pictures look right.
You say you will, and we all say we're going to do it pre-season. I know it always happens.
There's something wrong about playing a chip in the first week, and like I don't know. There's something about that. It just doesn't sort of sit right with me. I was thinking potentially not setting your team up well, are you, for the rest of the season as well? If you sort of instantly going in with a bench. But I don't know, it depends when you're going to play your wild card. Like I played my wild card really early this year.
Yeah, most do. Yeah, most do. So, you can set it up and then get away from it fairly easy. I completely agree though. It's horrible getting towards the end of the season when you see everyone else using their chips and you've got 1 less. Like, that your rank isn't really right because, you might be 100k in the world, but you've got no chips left. You're going to see some pretty large decreases when people use those, unless they mess it up, unless bench boosts come in with like 5 or 6 points, which isn't beyond the realms of possibility.
Where are you at with your chips, by the way? Because I'm a bit like that in terms of the one that I've lost. I think most people still have my triple captaincy. I used that in something like game week 9 when Haaland played Southampton.
I did the same. I did exactly the same.
Yeah. We've literally built the same team. I was like, I don't know how we've
your rank's better though, so yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'm my strategy's boring. I've got the wildcard active. I'll be bench boosting in 32 or 33. Free hitting in 34, I imagine, because I'll have no players because I'm building for that 33 double game that we think is going to happen. We're not even 100% sure if that is going to happen yet. And then that'll be me done. Use triple captain, use the assistant manager. So just those left. I'm not jealous of people with the assistant manager chip left. I literally don't know when is the best time to play that. It seems a really tricky one to get right.
I think you're talking late on, aren't you? I think you're talking like
last 3 weeks potentially.
Yeah, doubles at the end of the season. I do think that's like I was talking to someone on Spaces about this, and I do think potentially, like when the assistant managership first got announced, I did think the end of the season would be really nice because a lot of the times you do see like the lower. It's going to be a bit different this year because I think Leicester, Ipswich, and Southampton all be relegated. But in previous years, when there's a bit of relegation scrap going on, the amount of times you see a mid-table team who are on the beach lose to a bottom half team when you get that sort of the table bonus. I looked at that and thought that's a really good time to use it.
Yep.
But as I said, this year there's one I thought, obviously, when I used it, I thought I still think that will be the best time for the year, probably. Even though I probably used it different to other people in terms of I didn't just stick with Slot. I went sort of Moyes and then into Emery. But yeah, I do think if this manager stays next year, I do think the end of the season, in a normal season when there is actually properly a relegation battle going on, I think you could really take advantage of that near on the end. There's just so many examples, obviously, at the end of the season where when a team's just got nothing to play for and someone's fighting for their lives, that they get a result.
Yeah. Although sometimes you see the opposite. You have a team with nothing, with nothing to play for, actually gives them a little bit of a boost. I mean, I can remember.
Yeah, you do. Like you see relegated teams sometimes win on the final day quite often. Don't you?
Yeah. Well, I remember Newcastle.
Yeah,
Newcastle beat Spurs, didn't they? Like 5-0 or something when they got relegated.
Well, Southampton didn't on they were last time they went down. They drew up with like 4-4 on the final day. Or something,
yeah, you do get some weird things. I like you. I'm just glad I've got that chip out of the way. I got good return from it. I had Moyes, I had Slot, and then I had Glasner. Pretty much as good as it gets with those three.
I did Moyes, Emery, Glasner. So
exactly. Yeah.
That Glasner thing on the final. Oh, that was perfection. You could see him. I felt like I could see him out. I obviously a lot of times I think I can see him out off and it never goes well. But that one I was so pleased that because I was on a -4 to get him in as well.
Same. We've literally done the same. Literally done the same.
I know that's just so weird. I feel like I'm talking to myself here.
Yeah, no, it is strange. It's fairly quiet today. I don't blame people. We still do have 200 people watching. Do get us some questions in the chat if you want us to answer any of your questions. We've had a few, and obviously I've got some teams to go through. Send me a team as well if you want us to review it as FPLBlackbox.com. We can go through those. Question from James C. Hold Salah if you're not going to captain him. I've seen him sold. I'm seeing people selling him.
To be honest, he's actually the 6th most bought player this week, which surprised me. I think people obviously sold him for the blank last week.
Yeah. And they're paying 0.4, 0.5 more to get him back in the week after.
I never really understand this.
No,
like that, truthfully. Like you're almost better just playing with 10 if it comes to it. I think.
Yeah, I know. That's what I thought. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I get it in terms of if you're really aggressive and you're trying to fight for rank, and you sort of like Liverpool have caved off in the last few weeks. There's no doubt about it. Like they were terrible in that cup final. I know Newcastle were fantastic, and they actually were. They were brilliant in that final, but Liverpool were poor in that game, and they were really poor against South. I know they won the Southampton game as well, but I thought they were really poor in that. They were obviously, I think they were okay in the second leg for PSG, but the first leg as well, they were terrible in. But having said that, you still can't back against Salah, can you? I know I'm trying to sort of make a case for it, but truthfully, the only case is that you could maybe optimize doubles without him, because obviously they don't double at the end of it. But that's mental to me, really.
I mean, the risky period really is between 32 and 34. I mean, they've got Leicester, West Ham, and Spurs. That is 3 very, very obliging defences, and I know you're probably not going to captain him in 32 or 33 because you're going to have your Newcastle. You can have Isak probably in 32. You're going to pick a doubler in 33 if they get that double like we're expecting. Like I do get it, but he could get 15 points in those games, and if you haven't got him at all, I've been there. I captained Palmer the week before last. It hurts. It hurts when you don't captain him. It hurts even more if you don't own him. So he's a bit of a coverage.
He's crazy good for bonus this year as well.
Yeah,
I think that's been one of the main differences this year. I mean, obviously this season's been remarkable. It's been comfortably his best ever season in the Premier League, but the way Slot plays, he sort of lost bonus points from like Trent don't quite get on the bonus points like he once did because he's obviously not quite play as high as he did under Klopp. And also, I think that that obviously means that Salah seems to get he scores a goal now and he's getting there on 10 points, which is ridiculous. Was that? And I felt like that was never the case before. And I remember reading some data at the start of the season that was true. So yeah, and also if you get, as I said, the amount of times this year you get 2 goals and with a 16 point, it's just ridiculous.
And his stats aren't even great. Like he's just a machine, an absolute machine. I haven't built a wildcard draft without him. He's not. It's just not on my radar.
Is he the most needed player in the whole game, do you think? Or do you think you could is there a player that you think that's more pivotal than him?
I think if City go through in the cup, I think Haaland he's got to be up there, right? Like he's got an extra game. He plays Leicester next. They've got a good run as well between now and the end of the season. They play Wolves, they play Southampton as well. They've got decent home games against Palace and Villa. I don't know. If City get 2 games and you can free hit and cover 34, I think I'd rather go for Haaland than Salah if I had to pick one of them. But that's not a given what we've seen from Man City and what Salah's been doing.
How about like an Isak?
Yeah, I don't know if I was picking the first player on the wild card, I don't think it would be Salah. Just because I think Isak, right, and I think maybe even Mateta. I mean, if Palace go and get back-to-back doubles as well, like you're gonna want Mateta. I think
he just will outscore though. Like Salah probably, like at least say Mateta doubles in one of them weeks, he's guaranteed that Salah will outscore. There's just no way. Because I think, as you said, I think the fixtures for Salah in them 2 games are really good anyway. So
it is funny with the World Cup. I mean, the draft I show's got bloody Savinho in it. I mean, has he done anything to warrant?
Yeah, talk to me about that. Because he's one of them that every time I watch him, he sort of passes the eye test, but never seems to do anything. Like he's picked up with the odd assist, but I feel like there is a haul coming for him. But like his finishing, he's remarkably bad. Like it's really bad.
They've got a lot of tricks on the wings, haven't they? With Doku and with Savinho, without a huge amount of end product, which I think is probably one of the reasons why they've maybe struggled a bit this year. They don't seem to be able to find Haaland in the same way that they've been able to do in previous years. They've got De Bruyne, who frankly just looks a bit past it now. They've got Foden, who's having such a poor season after such a strong one last year. Gundogan's come back. He's been like a miss of the century, I think, putting him in the field. He just hasn't got the legs anymore. I mean, the Savinho pick is just trying to find another player to put alongside Haaland for Leicester at home and then a potential double game week. I don't really think there's no one else. Marmoush is the obvious one, but are you going to...
He's just not nailed for a start, is he, Marmoush? That's the issue.
He's not nailed, and you're not going to go over Isak and Mateta for Marmoush, given that they've got that double in 32. So I like it. I mean, he might be someone I'd potentially bring in for 33 after that, but I don't know. He's just trying to find a midfielder spot.
I do like this.
He's cheap as well. Only 6'2".
I do like the Savinho pick though. Like
I don't, and he's in.
No, I do. I like it because I think at the price point, I do think it hasn't happened yet this season, but I do think the ceiling is there. Like I think I think there will be a sort of mammoth haul, and I mean Leicester, they are pitifully bad. Like.
Yeah,
they might be the worst team in the league at the moment because they actually don't even score. That's the one player actually would sort of query you on. Like you don't have Guardiola. Are you slightly worried about that?
I don't really get.
If he gets like they're guaranteed a clean sheet against Leicester. I know they're terrible defensively, but Leicester don't score goals. So if he gets an attacking return, he's probably going to be near on a 15-pointer. So.
I just don't really get the hype with RDL. Like everyone's talking about, everyone's got him. If I had a spare 6 million, don't get me wrong, I'd put him in. But I mean, this is exact funds, so I'd have to move some players around. I mean, potentially look at moving Timber up for example. I mean, that is an option, trying to find some money elsewhere. But I mean, he hasn't had a shot in 5 games. He's playing at centre back, and Man City can't defend. So
he's also playing Leicester though. I might go against Leicester at the moment.
the Leicester game is obviously the main one, but I've got players who can, like Kirkes, Timber, and Munoz is still a good back 3. I mean, I'd rather have Vardiol than Timber for that 1 week, but I still think over the rest of the season, I still back the Arsenal defence to be better than the City one.
Do you worry about Timber's minutes slightly?
Yeah, with White back. Not as confident.
That's my only worry about it because I actually really like the pick because he's also that obviously 0.5 less than he's actually way more now, isn't it? Because Gabriel's like 6.4, but he is obviously you do get that cheaper price, but it's just if he's quite as nailed as like a Gabriel, but obviously you just can't afford him, can you? I guess, but yeah, I
mean this is the thing. Again, if I'm going for Gabriel, maybe I probably would go for Vardiol. It's only because Timber is. I've got the money to be able to get him in. I just don't really know where I'd downgrade in this team. I mean, maybe Savinho down to someone, but I quite like the idea of the double tap. I mean, if Bournemouth beat City, this whole team changes completely because I probably won't end up going for Haaland. I probably will just stick Marmoush in there, and then that frees up 7 million to getting Vardiol, getting Fernandes, getting Kluivert. So that game is the big one. I mean, Brighton Forest. That you can see there's not many players from those teams in there, but if Brighton get through, I'd love to have like Minte in there for Bruggen. I think is a good pick too. If Forest get through, I'm going to need to find a way to get Wood at some point. I imagine maybe even Sells in goal as well. So yeah, lots of things can change, but
That is one thing about the Gameweek 30 wildcard, though. Like, I look at your front line, and that is literally, I feel like that is the Gameweek. Like, if you're going to go with the wildcard Gameweek 30, that is the front line.
It's got to be, right?
Yeah, I don't really see any sort of, like, I think you can sort of look at the defense in sort of, there's obviously certain players I think are nailed, like some Munoz, etc. But I think in it, that sort of front line is just like the one in it, really.
Well, Thomas Morgan says, what about Sarr over Eze? Yeah, I think if Palace don't beat Fulham, so if Fulham get through, I think Eze to Sarr would be the move, because I still think, I know Sarr's been doing really well again lately. He didn't when I owned him, didn't get any points from him whatsoever. Only when I sold him.
We generally had the same team there, but I owned Sarr and then took him out when he started doing well. Like, that honestly happened.
So he's been so frustrating, but I think if Palace are going to have back-to-back doubles, which they might end up doing if they beat Fulham, I still think Eze is the one. If they don't get it, then I probably will downgrade to Sarr, and then that gives me a bit more money to play around with.
I think there's is another one that I do just expect to push on at some point.
You got to, like, right? He's too good not to.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, he's sort of I still believe he's sort of their talisman in a roundabout way. Like, I think he's the one that gets them ticking. Really. Yeah. So I don't know.
Very disappointing season from him. I know he's had injuries, but
Star's sort of goal contributions have potentially come a bit because Mateta's not been playing. I think he's sort of took the reign a bit, and I think when potentially Mateta comes back, we should expect him obviously to do so. I'm not sure. Like, when they've played together, Sarr and Mateta, there hasn't been tons of returns for Sarr at all.
Yeah. Sarr is clear, says Nui. So yeah, you might be right. Yeah, I might end up going.
Points-wise, he's right, isn't it? Like, yeah.
You just get burned. You just get burned, don't you?
You get a return, you're gonna get burned.
Yeah. You just get burned, don't you? When you own a player and they don't deliver for you, and then you've got to bring them back in again. It's like Semenyo. Semenyo for me has been absolutely awful. And I've put together my first draft and I had Semenyo back. This is the third time this season I'm going to go back to Semenyo and I just can't get any points from him. Like, why am I doing it again?
He's also on 9 yellows, isn't he, I think, as well?
Yeah, I suppose. I think
he's got more yellow cards than goals, I think.
Yeah, but like some outrageous stats, like the third most shots or something of all players in the game, something ridiculous like that. It's crazy.
He's an underlying data merchant.
He is.
Semenyo, I think.
Yeah, he is. But you never feel like he's going to hit that big haul, whereas Eze, I think he's more likely to. Let's take a look at some teams that we had from the Fantasy Football Scout tweet. So this is FPL Dan. No chip in play. It's Pickford in goal, Munoz, Gabriel, Milenkovic, Mbumo, double Bournemouth, Kluivert and Semenyo, Salah, Bruno Fernandes, Wood and Haaland, Visser, Williams and Greaves on the bench. Looks pretty good, doesn't it? Pickford's the...
Yeah, when I saw this team, I thought that's like literally complete. Like, why did that help?
It's so strong. I mean, Pickford again. I mean, a lot of people have got Pickford. I saw a comment in the chat about should we be looking to sell Pickford as well. It's Liverpool away. You never really know what could happen in that kind of game, but what do you think? I mean, transfers are pretty precious at the moment.
They're absolutely horrendous. I think they've got the worst fixture run over the next 5 in the league. So, but they have been on a really good run, and the other thing is he'll get a few save points. But I mean, I'd be beyond shocked if he managed to get a clean sheet. Although if he did, he'd be on for a right haul. Like, Sells, did he get a 10-pointer when he went there? Or at least a 9-pointer? Yeah. So if anything does happen, obviously he'll be absolutely flying. But I mean, I'll probably just own him because I'm not going to take a -4.
Well, this is it. I mean, a -4 or using a transfer at a time when you're probably going to be wildcarding. I mean, Dan's obviously got the wildcard left in the next couple of weeks. I would just leave it, I think, and sort him out when you're going to play that chip.
Yeah, that's my feeling.
You could easily you do Pickford to someone for 2 weeks and they score the same points, and then you've wasted a transfer. Goalkeepers is a hard position to get right.
Who would you play? Because the only like Semenyo's been so bad as of late. I know the Ipswich game's so tempting, but is there any sort of shout to play Visser? Not really, I suppose.
Oh, Visser's been good. I mean, I've owned Visser for a while. I mean,
he's been like, I was saying this I've said this a few times this week. I think with strikers more than defenders, if he's sometimes back form over fixtures, I think, because like Bruno Fernandes is on an unbelievable run right now, so I don't think he's an awful player to bring in naturally, even though the fixtures are not there, just because of the run he's on. Like, and because at other times, like Palmer's had back-to-back unbelievable games against Leicester and Southampton, but because he's not on form, it's not worked for him. I think sometimes we do that where we look at the fixtures over potentially the player's form right now. And as I said, for defenders, I think it's quite different because obviously you get a lot more defensive actions based on a team performance in terms of the defence gets a clean sheet and you get points for that. Whereas for actual forwards, it's literally completely individualistic. So, yeah, I don't hate back in form sometimes over fixtures. I really don't.
The only thing I will say is that this is the worst trio of promoted teams we've ever had in the Premier League. And if it was like Everton at home or someone like that, I'd probably get on board with it. The fact is Ipswich. I mean, if Semenyo's ever going to score a load of points and make good on his underlying numbers, surely it's against them because they just look absolutely awful at the moment.
Well, the three promoted teams have got less points than Brighton.
What a stat. What a stat that is.
I think they've got two less points, two more points than Brentford. So
yeah.
And we're not talking about Man City and Liverpool's and stuff of the world here. We're talking about, I mean, without complete respect to Bournemouth, to Brentford and Brighton, but they're not the top six, are they? And Brighton have still got more points than them three combined, which is a testament to sort of. It is slightly annoying this year, actually, how bad they are. I think it's a shame, actually, because you do want to. I think part of the league is a relegation battle, which we just are not going to have this year. I mean, they're going to be relegated.
It's frustrating because I mean we've had good options from promoted teams in previous years. You know, we go back to the Lundstrom days and players like that. But the only player that I was even remotely interested in was Leif Davis, who I've owned for large periods of this season, and he's been absolutely awful. Not from a lack of trying. I mean, he's created the most chance, I think, of all defenders in the league, and has like 2 assists, maybe 3. So I do feel like he's been a little bit unlucky not to get as many returns as someone like, I mean, Doty last year, for example, was unreal.
Yeah, I think Ipswich is slightly different to Leicester and Southampton in terms. I think they're actually trying. Like I watched like Leicester, and I'm like you're not even trying, lads. Like this is, you know, and I completely get they're going down, and obviously their head's not being it, and they're probably completely short of confidence. But when I watch Ipswich, they're just bad. Like they give it a go, but they're just bad. Whereas Leicester, I mean, they're not great either, but I don't think like they're giving it a go at times. Like the performance is so flat. Whereas Ipswich, you're still watching, the press is still high. They're still working for each other. They just don't quite have the quality to sort of be in this league, which I thought we sort of knew anyway. I mean, obviously I support a Championship club in Leeds, and their squad was never ready for the Premier League in any way last year. I mean, they just come up from League One, and they've still got the fundamentals of a League One team in there. So it was never like this year. I mean, they spent 150 million and still weren't nowhere near it. So, so that was always, I think that was always going to happen. But as I said, I do feel like they're slightly different in terms of, I do think they're giving it a go. I just don't think they're good enough. Whereas I think the other two are just like, they're just so flat. It's ridiculous. So that's slightly different. But again, I mean, it's genuinely a shame that they're just so bad, really.
I think Van Nistelrooy did exactly what we thought would happen. I don't think anyone really believed that was a great appointment for them, and it didn't seem to inspire them. I mean, other than that one, I mean, they got one good win against Spurs, didn't they? Which
they started well.
Spurs fans. They beat West Ham
3-1, and then they drew with Brighton. You thought, there we go. And then they basically lost every game since. I mean, they haven't scored a goal at home since the start of December.
That is, I mean, that record of 7 home games in a row without a goal, like that. How long is it going to be till that's beaten? Like, that is absolutely.
And they've actually played Brentford at home in that time, Fulham at home. Trying to think who else they've played. Palace at home.
Imagine going to 7 games in a row and not seeing them not score. It's unreal.
I mean, they should be refunded it. It's like it's getting to the point.
Yeah.
Paying each ticket's going to cost you like 40 quid, and they've paid for 7 games now and not seen it. I mean, it is a bit ridiculous. They also never look like they're going to score. Like they had a few chances against Man United, and like Vardy, who's usually, even though he's obviously getting on a bit, he's still got the sort of clinical edge to him. He's even lost. Like it's just all gone from somehow.
I mean, at the start of the season, I looked at Leicester and I looked at their strikers and I looked at Vardy and Daka, and I just thought, where are the goals going to come from this side? And Cooper actually got them scoring goals. I think they scored in the first 5 or 6 games, and they looked all right going forward. They couldn't defend, but they looked all right going forward. And Van Nistelrooy's come in, I thought would be quite an attacking manager, and he just hasn't been able at all to get them firing. And like you said earlier, they're a team that I'm targeting. It didn't work out with Palmer, but it did work out with Fernandes, for example. And I think if you're going into this game against Leicester without Haaland, without any kind of City attacking coverage, you're going to be a bit nervous.
The one thing I would say about Leicester, it was trying to defend them. They haven't been absolutely humiliated yet. Like, do you remember Sheffield United last year where they were losing like 6-0 at home to Brighton and stuff? Like, it was just getting ridiculous. Like Newcastle beat them like 8-0 at home or something last year.
Yeah,
they did. Like, we haven't seen a Leicester result quite like that yet. However, I just think that's going to come. Like, I think Man City as well. I know they've not quite been on it this year, but they're the team that when they get going can just annihilated. Do you know the way they play, where they just completely dominate the ball and they just completely suffocate you? I think they're the sort of team that could absolutely annihilate a Leicester team.
I think the only way you can get a result against City, and what a lot of teams are doing, is by pressing hard in midfield, working the lines, getting plays quickly on the transition into the box. Who's going to do that for Leicester? I can't see any way in which they score. The only way they're going to score is a long ball over the top for Vardy to run onto and finish. But he just hasn't looked like that player in a while.
Even
yeah.
No, I agree. I mean, as I said, the Leicester thing speaks for itself in terms of they just don't score. No. But it's funny actually because it sort of makes a mockery of sacking Cooper, I suppose, because I think they were on about 10 points after. I think they were 10 points after 12 games, and they're now on 29, so that'll be 17 more games, and they've won 17. So what's that? 7 points from 17. So it's really been disastrous.
It was a ridiculous sacking, but it was also a ridiculous appointment. They should never have appointed Cooper. The fans never got over.
Yeah, they never won. Well, he's
never
got
wanted him. Of course he has. Of course he has.
And he's also the different style from Maresca never seemed to make sense.
It baffles me. And then to go from that to Van Nistelrooy, I don't know, is crazy. There's another team from Ross Mitchell on X. Thanks very much. Again, another Pickford owner with Munoz, Konate and Kirkes. Salah, Palmer, Foden and Kluivert, Evan Nilsson, Wood and Mateta, with Bowen on the bench. That feels a bit risky. Williams and Robinson. Palmer, interesting one. We touched on him a few times on this stream. I would be very, very, very surprised if I ended up with him in my wildcard draft. But it is Spurs at home in Gameweek 30. A little bit worried.
Yeah, Spurs at home. Spurs give everyone a chance, don't they, to score.
Being very negative about Spurs today. I apologise, Spurs fans.
They are, though. I think even Spurs fans would admit that. They're sort of we're just literally on about Leicester, and Leicester actually beat them. So
yeah.
But yeah, to be honest, Palmer to me just looks like a player that I know it's sort of a boring tape, but he just looks so short of confidence. Like usually when the time I sort of probably realised it most was when the penalty against Leicester, and it actually wasn't a horrific penalty by any means, but it was his reaction before the penalty. Like he's like looking around like he's living in a ghost town sort of thing. Yeah. Like you normally watch Palmer, like that penalty he scored actually at Spurs earlier in the year, like where he Penenka it straight down the middle. You're watching him and you just look around and he thinks he's never going to miss, and nobody ever thinks he's going to miss. And I watched it against Leicester and I thought there's something wrong here. And I think after Southampton as well, they won 4-0, and he put some tweet out about sort of saying I'll be back or something. And I'm like, mate, your team have just won 4-0. Like you can tell, like to put out a tweet like that. He
missed 2 or 3 really good chances in that game.
Yeah,
you would 100% think he would have buried.
Yeah. But he just doesn't. It just doesn't seem right at all. I don't know if he's got. Obviously he's off for a scan in there. I think he's on his second scan or something now. But so the potential is an injury news anyway, which will keep him out. But I don't know. There's just something fundamentally wrong there at the moment. I think he'll come good. He's a brilliant player, but
I think it's a shame. Yeah, it's a shame with this team to be benching Bowen when you've got Palmer, who's completely out of form, and Foden, who might not even make the squad. I can see why, because the fixtures are really good for them, and you feel like if you put Bowen in and you bench Palmer, for example, you'd be cursing yourself if he gets a penalty and a big haul. But Foden is just a no-go at the moment. I know you've got him, and I know you might want to play him because he's playing Leicester, but I think I'd play Bowen over Foden at the moment. There's nothing good about him. Nothing that I can see.
Would you genuinely do? See, this is where exactly what I just said about playing
fixtures.
Players.
Yep. Form and fixtures. Yep.
He's now going to make me sound like an idiot, because I generally think if I had that team, I would probably bench
Bowen. Oh, bench Bowen. Yeah, same.
Yeah, I think I would.
Same as what he's doing.
And then that goes again everything against. But I just think that sort of, I don't know. It's some, maybe even the price that is sort of pushing me. Like you almost feel like, well, Palmer's like, why am I holding him if I'm going to bench him against Spurs at home? Like,
I wouldn't bench Palmer, but Foden versus Bowen, I think, is close.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. It's just the upside of Foden. Like it could just click for him in a game, and like I'd be scared that it just click. That is the game it clicks, because it could do, because that is so.
That's why he's a horrible player to own. It's why he's a horrible player to own.
Yeah, he is. But he actually had a decent run at one point, didn't he? Like when they played Ipswich away and stuff, and I think he got 3 contributions in that game earlier in the year. And yeah, he went on quite a decent run at one point, but he's never really. I don't know. I mean, it's just completely different phones last year as well, I know, I suppose.
Yeah. One final team is from May Arvin. So this is slightly different. Sells in goal, double Palace wingbacks, Mitchell and Munoz. with Trent there, who obviously needs to be dealt with. Salah, Palmer, Bowen, Szoboszlai, Kluivert, Wood and Isak. For Bruggle on the bench with Kuna, Dean and Robinson. So obviously Trent is the main problem there. I mean, Trent to Vardiol, for example, is again quite an easy move. Set you up quite nicely. Szoboszlai, not seeing him in too many teams. He's having a great season.
I don't like. Do you like Szoboszlai as a pick? No. Truthfully, I don't really like it. Like, he's not. I don't know. He sort of looks like he's going to do something and never really does. Like, I think Slot's alluded to this press conference earlier in the year where and I think even Jamie Carragher's talked about it a bit as well on Sky, where I don't know, for a number 10, he doesn't seem to get, like, he seems to be involved in build-up for 100%, and I think they're probably a better team with him in it. But he seems to be in the assist of an assist sort of guy, I suppose. Like, he passes it to Salah, who gets an assist for, say, whoever up front. But I don't know, he never seems to be the guy that gets the points.
The thing is, he's just completely all or nothing. I mean, you look at his points: 2-1, 10, 3-1, 2, 17, 2-2, 13, 3, 2-2, 2, 13, 11. You know, like, he blanks or he's getting you a double digit. There's no in between. He's not chipping away with the odd assist.
Yeah, there's no logic as well between when he gets the holes. Like, I think he did all right away at Man City. Like, it's not. Like, sometimes at least some players sort of seem to blank when you'd expect them to blank and sort of return when you expect to return. They're perfect.
Yeah.
Like, when you the fixtures are there, he'll return this game. Szoboszlai isn't that. Like, would I be that surprised if he blanked against Everton? I'd probably be more surprised if he returned, truthfully. So yeah, I'm not sure I like him as a pick per.
I just think with this team, so you've got one transfer, your priority is Trent, because you don't.
Yeah, Trent,
Dean and Robinson. I wouldn't really have been playing either of those. So I think I'd probably keep Szoboszlai for one more week. And again, you never know what's going to happen in that derby match.
He might not even play. That's the other thing.
No, he might not. I know he might not. Yeah, it's a tricky one, but I think I'll prioritise the injured player.
Yeah, I would. Yeah.
Excellent stuff. Well, thank you all for putting your teams in. Thanks for joining us on this international break. I think people are having a nice rest and a nice break. I mean, Gameweek 29 was carnage, so rest up, and we're going to be hitting it hard when Gameweek 30 hits, because so many chips are going to be played and doubles to be announced and everything like that. Make sure you're following Fantasy Football Scout on YouTube and subscribe to the channel to get all your updates. Make sure you check out the site, look at all the great articles being posted by Neil and Tom and everyone else over there. And yeah, thanks for joining me, Scott. I think it'll be Sam again next week, but it's been a good one.
Yeah, it's been really good, as but I think it will be Sam next week. Touch wood, should be back for everybody.
If she ever gets back from Heathrow.
Yeah, well, that's true, because I think Heathrow's potential fire or something. So
yeah, I know it's not ideal, not ideal at all. Anyway, thanks everyone for watching, and I will see you next week.